what was the takeaway just from the defense on Saturday?
Yeah, man, that we're so close, but we're so far at the same time. And if you don't do the details to win, it's going to humble you. You know, we got humbled on Saturday, but we're going to move on. We're able to learn from it. But it's all a learning experience, you know. Like Coach V says all the time, it's a one-possession league, and we didn't do the steps that we need to do in the fourth quarter or in the second half alone to, you know, finish that game out.
Talk about just the frustration, maybe just the open field tackles, just how much of an emphasis is that right now this week of practice?
Yeah, all the fundamentals. You know, it's the little things that what got us beat. You know, it wasn't the big things, wasn't the big plays. It was the little fundamentals, techniques, being in your gaps. You know, wrapping up, tackling. So we got to get back to the basics. And shoot, we're there. We just got to keep working.
Gentry, you've been around for multiple OU Texas games, and you know how emotional that game is, and especially the week after. I mean,
definitely.
What's going to be important this week in terms of preparing for South Carolina and coming down from the highs of that game?
I would say the biggest thing is not let Texas beat us twice. You know, what I mean by that is not let that game, you know, linger on to this week. You know, we still got an SEC opponent on the road, and as y'all know, that it don't get easier. So we just got to continue to, you know, get back to the basics, reload. You know, Texas happened. We got to move on. You know, it's unfortunate, but we got a team in South Carolina that they're playing good football right now.
Speaking of which, your first thoughts on Sellers and Harbor?
You know, two amazing athletes, you know, great football players. You know, they're good. They're extremely well for their team. You know, Sellers, I think, you know, he's able to show what he can do. I think a top prospect quarterback coming up in this year's draft, and if he keeps doing what he's doing. And then, like you said, Harbor, one of the fastest people in the world, not only in the country, but, you know, he's an extreme athlete, bigger guy, so physical, yeah.
How much do you look forward to that kind of challenge with Harbor, just when you get to go up against receivers like that?
No, I'm excited for any challenge in the SEC. You know, that's why I'm excited to be here in the SEC and playing for OU because we got matchups like that every week. So it's another one on the schedule. I'm excited. You know, we'll get ready for it.
You guys are both track guys. Did you know Harbor prior?
Yeah, I actually did. I think I ran against him as a kid. My dad, he was telling me about it a couple of weeks ago that we had ran against each other when we were younger. I do remember him.
Was that part of the conversation coming out of Saturday too? Just like another big game this week. We have a ton of big games left. Like there's a lot of season left.
Still a lot of football. You know, it's hard to be an undefeated team in the SEC. Obviously, that's the goal. And I'm not shying away from any loss. You know, any loss is important, but we have to stress to move on. You know, it really is unfortunate, but we got to stress to move on because, like I said, we can't let Texas beat us twice, and we got a really good opponent that we got to get ready for.
You feel like everyone's kind of doing a good job of that. So it's only been a couple days, but kind of moving past it.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we still got to get some things from the Texas game corrected to be able to move on for South Carolina because, as we know, you know, some teams might run the same things, but we got to be prepared for everything. So, yeah, we're preparing for South Carolina, but still getting over Texas, you know, and moving on for our corrections.
Talking to RJ and R. Mason just after the game, they were just pretty down on themselves. What was it like to come together as like a leadership group just to pick each other up while you're still trying to turn the page?
Most definitely. I think for them too, you know, if they were down on themselves, it just means that it means a lot to them. You know, they understand that you don't get a lot of chances to play in that Red River game, and when it means a lot to you, you know, you're not going to feel the best after you don't get the result you want when you put the work in. And I think they understand that, but those are two guys that, you know, they played a lot of ball, especially in the SEC, so they know what it takes to, you know, to reload every single week. And I have complete faith in them that they're going to go out there and do their job again this week at a high level.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you.